They strongly disagree, 2 agree, 3 disagree, and 4 strongly disagree. So that's number 30. Number 38. I'm just going to show from question number 38 to number 58 to the last page. Then our template data collecting template is this one. If you can see the first one, labeling persuade farmers to stop GM crops is the first one, which is 38. Farmers will be persuaded to stop cultivating GM crops. Then number 2, labeling compel farmers to grow non-GM crops. This is 39. GM crops mandate. Mandatory labeling will compel farmers to stop non-GM crops. So you can actually see that number 38, this is the first one. Number 39, that's also the second one. So you can go up to the last one, which is 58, which is labeling cost should be borne by GM farmers only. It's only that let's just go to that last one so that we are 100% sure of what we are talking. The last one, which is 58. 58 is our 58. Yes, 58. Number 58. So that's 58. That's the last one. So the expense of mandatory labeling should be borne entirely by GM farmers. So this is the questionnaire that we are going to use for us to run. I have saved my questionnaire as the effects of mandatory labeling. But before we go, if you are using R does not recognize 2 words, it only recognizes 1 word. So you need to make sure that when you are coding it, it's either you code it with the question number, like in the case question 38, I could use it as question 38, question 39, 40, 41 until. But for me, I just want to make sure that I use these words so that when the diagram comes out, we should be able to read and to try and make sense, because we don't want to say question 38, then we go back to question 38 to see what question 38 is actually trying to say. So it's very important for you to make sure that whenever you are writing the codes, even if it's a long sentence, you need to, one way for you to do it is just to join those words with an underscore, like what I did. There are so many ways for you to do that, but this is what you can do. So the first thing that we need to do, now that you now know our data flow, where we have put our data from, so the first thing that we need to do is now to import our data. So for us to import our data, we go to file, then from the file you look for the you can look for the folder that we are that you have saved. But I know I have saved my information in this folder. So from there, this is the name of my data. So the next thing is I need to import this data. So just click it or right click it, and then you say import, then just give you some time for it to bring the data. So it's very important for you to make sure that whenever you are saving the information that you want us to see, you save it in a folder which is actually quick for you to access. It's also a very good practice. Still, our data is still loading. We give it some time to do that. This is not the only way for us to load the data. There are so many ways that you can load data, but this is the easier way. I feel it's an easier way for you to load your data to the environment. Let's give it some few minutes, and yes, there our data has been now loaded. So once the data is loaded, I think you can actually read the question number 38, labeling persuade farmers to stop GM crops, then labeling compel farmers to grow non-GM crops. Then the last one, the last question was labeling cost should be borne by farmers, if you remember. So the next thing is now for you to press the import. So once you import it, then our data is now ready for you for use. So yes, but it will take us to this window so that you verify the data, the structure of your data. So if you remember again, the first question, here's our first question, our second question. If you go to the end, you can actually see at the last question was a labeling cost should be borne by farmers. So the next thing that we need now to do, we can just quickly go back to our environment where we are working. So we need now to bring the data that you are working with in our working environment or our console. So you just come copy it, then we give it a variable name. This practice is always encouraged because once you give it a variable name, then it means that when we are changing whatever we are going to do, we are not going to affect the original data that we have actually entered. So once we have given the name, the original name, the next thing is you need to run it. Okay, now it shows us here that no, you have now run your data. If you remember DF, so the next data frame that I'm now using now, I'm now working on DF1. That's now the name of the variable name for the new data frame. So for you to see that if this is the correct data you have, you can use the head function. You can use the head function, or you can use the tail function. The head function, you will view the first 6 lines of your data, or you use the tail. And if you use the tail, you also view the last section of your data. So from this case, let's just use the head function and see what's gonna be in our data. Here, then we put DF. We use DF1. As I said, that we are now working with the DF1. Once we work with DF1, show us, okay, now we go. Now this is data DF1, and the labeling, if you remember, labeling persuade farmers to grow. This is the first one. Then we can go to the last question. If we can show you all of that, but we are not going to waste much time. So the next, now we have got our data. The most important thing is we now need to bring one library here. The other library, which was very important, we already brought it. Which was the read Excel. The read Excel library is the one that will allow you to be able to read the Excel document that I have sent. If you are using CSV, you also need to use the CSV file so that it can read. So that one is already in, but I've already saved that that file so I'm not going to bring it. So I'm just going to bring one file, which is now the Likert file or the Likert library. If you have not installed Likert, you need to first install Likert, and it's actually easy for you to do that. Just type. I'll show you in another lecture how to install these libraries. So, but for now, the Likert is already in. So the most important thing that we now need to do is to call it by just running it. Now Likert is now already to function. The next thing that we need to do from here is now to convert our data, which is sitting in variable number DF1, variable name DF1, into a data frame. But for us to do that, we call a function which we call data frame or data.frame. For us to be able to do that, once you press data.frame, you will see this. The name of the function comes in, and you just enter the name of the name of the variable name, or where our data is now sitting, or the data set is now sitting. So once you have done that, the next, what is more important is to give the variable name. Let's give this variable name as DF2. DF2, that's the name that we are going to give. And the next important thing, let's run it. Okay, now we have run it. Now it's now the new data set that we are now working with is now DF2. You can now check if you want. You can actually try to check the structure of DF by typing strdf2. Then it shows you the structure. Then you enter. Okay, it's a bit slow, so but let's just run it. Right, that's now the new structure of your data. So if you remember, this is how the data was appearing in the Excel format. But now we've changed it now to a data frame. Now it's appearing in this format. That's how our data is now appearing. So let's see, we don't want the structure of the data to continuously running, so we can just put a hashtag to make sure that it does not run. So the next thing is we need now to change to mutate our data. And for us to mutate our data, we use the function mutative function. I hope that we have got this library for mutative function. There, yes, we have it. There, if you check here, if you go there, we have got the mutate. And the next thing is that we now need to do is to code the data frame that we want to mutate. So we want to mutate data frame number 2, and we know that our data in the data in the variable 2 or in our data set, we recorded is as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 1 up to 4. That's numeric. So we want to use this mutate. If your data is numeric, you use the function is.numeric. Is.numeric. That's the function that we use. So the moment you press numeric, we should have that function. Then the function comes in. Now we have got the function of numeric. There we go. And the next function that we want this data to be read as a factor. So the next function we need as a factor. We want all the data to come as a factor. So the moment I press as a factor, I should be able to see the function as a factor. There we go. The factor. So the moment we have done that, we can run this mutate. So before we run it, let's now give you a variable name. So the next variable name that we're going to give is now df3. That's the new variable name. Then let's run and see if our code. Yes, there we go. It have now performed the function. So we are now dealing with the df3. We are no longer dealing with df1. We are no longer dealing with df2. We are now dealing with the df3. So now we have now mutated our data to factors or as factors. The next thing that we need to do is now to change the language. We can also check the structure of this data so that we can understand. Maybe if you want to learn more about R, you can also go and learn. So the next thing that we need to do, let's check the structure of df3. Why is it? Where is the difference now from df2? So if you check our df2, this is our df2. So let's check the df3. Let's just run and look how df3 is now looking. There is now some commas. You see, it's now different, and it's now recorded as a factors, and it have got 4 levels. If you remember, we have got 1, 2, and 3, and 4. So we have got 4 levels. So if you are running it as numeric, you need to specify the levels. That will do that. If you are running as characters, we'll show you how you can do that and to specify the levels. So now we now know the structure of our data. The next thing that we now need to do now is now to change this data to a language that the Likert will understand, or the library, the Likert library will understand. And by doing that, we just call the Likert. Once we call the Likert comes in, then we have to now input our variable name that we want to change, which is df number 3. So df number 3, before we run that, we now need to give the new variable name to that data that we have now created in df3. So this is actually a very good practice, because if you go to df3 still remain as df3. df2 remains as df2. df1 remains as df1. What we are just doing now is we are just saying the data that we have changed here is now what we are changing here. So it's actually very important that if your code fails to run, you know where to go and correct that code. So let's run it. Yes, then DF4 have actually completed. Let's just check the structure of this data, how it looks like. I've never checked it when we get to that level. So actually, it's very important for me to know how this data would look like at a Likert level. Let's just check. Do I get something? Okay, that's nice. That's interesting. So you have seen now what's happening is now including the levels and yeah, it's almost looking like the DF3. I'm not sure where the difference is here. Let me just check again where the difference is. Yes, the difference is there, but you might not even be able to see it. Yeah, the difference is there. Difference is there. So that's now DF4. So we don't want DF4 to run anymore. So we have to put a hashtag. By putting a hashtag, we are preventing DF4 to run. The next thing that we now need to do is now to visualize our data in the way that I know most students, they don't normally visualize that way. So by doing that, now we now call in the plot function. By calling the plot function, then we want to plot the DF4 because DF4 is the only data frame that we have changed to the Likert. So now we have called the plot function, plot DF4. Then we run. Let's run plot or DF4. If you check here, okay, then it comes. So under the plots, now we have got the new data, our new visualization. So that's how it looks like. So you can actually enlarge it. And let me just try this one. Try that one. Okay, there we go. Right. There we go. So that's how now how the data looks like. So we have got here, because I did not specify that I don't want you to show me data in ascending order. I should have specified that don't show me in ascending order, just to show me the data as it is. So it was going to show me the first question on top, but now it's now showing me the lowest percentage on top, which is labeling forces large agribusiness out of business. And most people are saying they are disagreeing because they have given me a 33%. So if I remember, the first one was the labeling compile farmers to grow non-GMO was the second. And most people are agreeing. They are saying yes, which is with the 62%. Then the other one, the last one was farmers must bear the cost. This is which is the labeling will be expensive. Where is that? Okay, there is number. It's now on number 6. Labeling cost should be borne by farmers, which is 54. So 54% are saying farmers should be penalized. Should bear the cost, the cost. So that's how you can show this diagram. But there are so many ways that you can do to improve the diagram. You can actually go in, bring in some things on this diagram, show it so that it looks nice, and you can change the colors that you're seeing here. You can actually change, and you can also see on the on our key here, we have got 1, which is disagree. We have got 2, which is agree. So 1 and 2 has been plotted to the left. Then we have got 3, which is disagree, and we have got 4, which is strongly disagree. So that's how this is one other way that you can do to show out your data when you are running, when you have collected data from a Likert score. Then from there, you can also use now. You can actually run your descriptive statistics, and you can explain this data also next to the descriptive statistics table, so that it can actually make a lot of sense. Thank you so much. I hope this has been eye-opening. There's going to be more diagram coming, more of these discussions on how we can run data and how you can do your own data. It's very important for you to know how to run data on your own. This is actually very easy. It's actually a very easy thing to do. The other thing that you can also do, if you see this code, if you see this, you can also copy this code and try to write your variables exactly the way I have done. Or you can also call me. I'm happy to help you to make sure that you've got your data capturing template that is easy for you to manipulate or to upload and to do whatever you wanted to do. Thank you so much for watching.